Do you know what wetlands actually do for you as a person?
I can't say as I do. I guess they help the ecosystem with whatever it's doing. I'm not too knowledgeable on these things, but
It helps me to have wildlife around, and I know that hunters like having wildlife around, but
I have no idea.
The importance, well, of course, we need wetlands to sustain the environment.
Do you like having clean air?
Yes.
Do you like having clean water?
Yes.
Give us better drinking water, cleaner drinking water.
Do you like your basement being dry?
I don't have a basement, but if I did, yes.
I think it's just nice to have that wildlife in the community.
Wetlands provide many values. Wildlife or biodiversity values is one of the obvious ones. Wetlands are hugely important parts of collecting surface water, managing surface water, purifying that surface water, flood attenuation.
Another reason why wetlands are important is they do what are called ecosystem services. And in particular, this is in terms of water quality issues. Wetlands are often a site for purification of water sources. Basically, think of a sewage lagoon at a sewage treatment plant. Water quality issues are very much tied into wetlands.
I mean, if we don't have a good ecosystem, I mean, this will probably just dry up into a desert or something.
If wetlands were to completely disappear in Alberta, what would happen? What would be the consequences of that?
Oh, well, it would certainly affect, it would have major effects on the hydrology and, larger scale water issues. And of course, water is a big issue in Alberta. And it could become a bigger issue if things get drier. There would probably be various larger scale land cover changes, likewise larger scale, probably potentially even climatic changes. It would affect agriculture too, because many farmers do use natural wetlands for their cattle, in particular for cattle watering.
I think the cost of the loss of wetlands was in 2003.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
No, I wouldn't know.
$50 million.
Maybe 10,000. A lot of millions?
The 40, 50 million.
It's actually $7.7 billion.
Wow. That's a lot. That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than I thought.
7.7 billion. That's nuts.
Natural capital is a concept really to try and see value in our natural landscapes, whether it be wetlands, streams, woodlands, starting to see those landscapes in a different light. Well, wetlands are a very important part of natural capital. They, again, many of these values we're just starting to come to recognize. These are a number of benefits that if you set out to provide an engineering solution to, you would find very soon that these are expensive things that wetlands are already providing for us.
What are some things that the average citizen can do to help in the conservation of wetlands?
What any person can do for wetlands is firstly to become aware of the issue. There's a lot of issues competing for our time and interest. Appreciating wetlands, being aware that wetlands are part of important components of healthy landscapes is a first step. A second step is to generate some knowledge around it, to learn a little bit more.
I think education is very important. Another thing I would say locally here would be to try and stop urban sprawl, because of course the areas at the edges of the city where construction is taking place for new housing developments, they have wetlands in them. Those wetlands will be altered or destroyed when housing goes in there.
You can support organizations like Ducks Unlimited or the Nature Conservancy.
Personally, I've been involved in a number of projects that have been funded by Ducks Unlimited, and I'd say, for example, one of the most direct ones that I was involved in, I looked at the efficiency of one of Ducks Unlimited's big programs on actually restoring wetlands that had been drained. And we actually found that in Alberta, simply just getting a backhoe, plugging a little ditch was all that was really required to restore these wetlands that had probably been drained for, at least 10 to 20 years had held no water.
The more challenging side is developing consent by the landowner who has that, because he may have benefited considerably by draining that wetland and would be opposed or would be against his business interests to restore that wetland.
Everyone I know who works in conservation issues say that when you actually connect with people, they're usually very willing on a one-to-one basis.
If you're a landowner, just having an awareness and some knowledge about this and being open to protecting natural areas, including wetlands on your land, is something directly that you can do.
Yes, I'm quite convinced that most people value the environment and would want to do the right thing.
The government now has a program coming out this year called the Alberta Wetlands Policy. Is this something that you would like to know more about?
You know, there was a policy being developed, but what was it about?
So a wetland policy is something that's been needed in Alberta and in lots of places. Right now, some places in North America have one already. Actually, Alberta does have one. In 1993, the province of Alberta developed an interim wetland policy for the settled areas of Alberta. It was approved by the government, but it's draft policy, so it only has so much power. Now, about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, a policy was sort of redeveloped, dusted off and redeveloped. Probably somewhere in the range of 2 million wetland acres in Alberta, in the settled area of Alberta, and so project by project, it would take a lot of time and a lot of dollars to protect those wetlands. So that's why the overarching policy that provides some degree of protection to all wetlands is an important backstop to those protected areas specifically. And that's a very important part back to the wetland policy. There are provisions in it to say restoring wetlands are a good thing, and we will make allowances in it so that wetland restoration is something that is supported and enabled.
Final question is, now that you know more about wetlands, the Alberta government is coming out with an Alberta wetland policy this year. Is this something you would want to know about and would support?
Sure, yeah.
Well, I support it.
Sure. Definitely want to know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yes, for sure.
I think I would. Yes, definitely. Yes.
I breathe air and I drink water, so yes.
Oh yes, very, very much so. I would support it.
I think that to have a sustainable environment, that would need the wetlands.
Because our system here it's actually more fragile than a lot of people realize. And once that's gone, like, we're pretty much had it. Like,
Let your politician know, let your member of legislature know that wetlands are important to you and that you encourage them to in turn encourage the government of Alberta to formulate a wetland policy. It's important that the public actually provide that encouragement to their politicians to give them the mandate to go and make a case to the government itself to pass that policy.
Change could happen, yes, if people do get involved.
Anything you would like to say about wetlands to finish?
Save our wetlands.
Great, thank you.